There is currently a huge debate online and in other places because Rabbi Friedman is saying that God needs us. And this is very controversial to some people. And I want to dive into that from my perspective as someone with a degree in comparative religion with a very deep focus in mysticism. I have to say that I am Jewish because that colors how I perceive things. I also want to say I am not a rabbi, and I have so much deep respect for the rabbis, for people who went to yeshiva, the hours and hours and hours you have put in, and the depth of your knowledge. I could never come close. But that's not to say that my perspective isn't valid, because it's my own perspective and we all matter and God needs us all. And I'm going to tell you why. So, it's a deep truth in mysticism, whether it's Jewish mysticism or mysticism across many belief systems and cultures. However they phrase it, and again, I speak from a largely Jewish perspective, although obviously I have an education in other religions, that we are all created from the fiber of God's being. We are all divine sparks. We are all made from God. In Judaism, there are those 3 Hebrew words that are so crucial, so important. I wish everybody understood them. Enod milvado. There is none else besides him. There is nothing but God. How do we make sense of that? So there's nothing but God. And again, I'm not a Torah scholar. I can't explain the Kabbalah, the Tanya at the level that the rabbis could. But maybe it's better to have it in layman's terms for some people. If there's nothing but God, we are made from God. We are part of God. We are constructed out of God's being. God is breathing us into life in every moment. And why? There has to be a purpose in that. Why would God waste his time if there was no purpose in it? Doesn't that in it and of itself to some degree show that God needs us? But let's go a little bit deeper. I'm going with the premise that there is nothing but God, that we are all made from the divine, whether you see it as strands in the fiber of God's being, divine sparks, divine substance. I'm taking that as a given because it is a universal truth in mysticism, whether it's Judaism, whether it's other mystic traditions, and that's where I'm coming from in this video. So if we are made of God, that's not pantheism. Pantheism, you would be saying, okay, the trees are made of God, so they have God-like power. And we're not saying that in Judaism. The trees and everything else are made of God because there is nothing but God. They're made of the substance of God. But you don't pray to the trees. The trees do not have the intelligence, the power, the godlike qualities. That's HaShem, he's in control. And it's complicated how you're going to separate that out, and I won't go into that in depth. But if you are of God, if you are created out of God, then God needs you. Am I going to rip out my chest? No, because I need my chest. I don't exist without my chest. You're part of God. You are needed. And you, as a part of God, are a very, very unique manifestation. There has only been one of you ever created. There will only ever be one of you created. You were created with intention. You were created with purpose. And God isn't dumb. God doesn't do things for no reason. God created you because God needs you to fulfill your unique purpose in the world. It doesn't make sense if God doesn't need you. Is it arbitrary? It's obviously not arbitrary. We can see from science, we can see where quantum physics and mysticism are meeting each other. We can see in the patterns and intricacies of nature. We can see in our very DNA. There is deliberate purpose, divine intelligence, constructing the universe and breathing each and every one of us into life in every moment. If God didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here. We are all beloved thoughts in the mind of God, made out of the substance of God. Again, think about it in terms of you. Am I going to rip off my nose? No. It's a little bit big. I could maybe have some plastic surgery on it, but I need it. I don't want to exist without it. Well, it's a choice between existing without my nose and not existing. I guess I would find a way, but you know what I'm trying to say. We are all needed by God, which is to say we are all needed by the whole. Because one with God, we are one with one another. We are all part of one divine, holy dance together. We are all part of God's being. We are all part of this beautiful purpose that God has given us. And I want to come back to that word purpose, because so many of us are so lost in this life because we lose sight of having a purpose, or maybe we never felt that we had a purpose. But maybe a big part of your purpose is that God needs you. And what does God need? Well, God created you as you. God needs you to be you, to be the best, highest version of you that you can be now in this moment. And wherever you have been placed, try to make it better. Try to bring light. Try to do what you think God would want you to do. You don't have to struggle. Be you, because God needs you to be you. Here's another way to think about it. Say I was a playwright and a play director, and for some reason it was really important to me to throw this play. Now, what if I chose all of my actors and all of my crew, and it was time for the play? What happens if the actors or the crew don't show up? What happens if they don't participate? Did I need them? I obviously needed them. Yes, I created the play. I was in charge. I could have chosen not to create it, but I did create it, and I needed them to fulfill it. One of the difficult things in my own life that came from my education was that one of my professors, the head of my department, when I was doing my religion degree, had that deep belief that people on the other side of this argument take, that because God is infinite and perfect, God therefore doesn't need anything from us. That's a hard view to live with for some people. And it was for me. I believed it at least at some level because it makes sense to say God is perfect. Therefore, God doesn't need me. And how do you find a meaning in your life if your very creator, if the being who loves you the most, who is breathing you into life in every moment, if they don't need you? That's painful. That's disorienting. That's hard. But for the reasons I've laid out, I don't think it's true. If God didn't need us, why would he have created us? He's going to waste his time. I know time is a human constructed concept to some degree. He's going to waste his time. He's going to do it on a lark. I don't pretend to understand the mind of God, but obviously God not only created us, but is continually recreating us, breathing us into life, feeding the fire of our divine flames with purpose and with intention, because he needs each and every one of us. So, everybody watching this, you are so deeply needed by God, by the whole you. Only one you ever in all of creation that has ever existed, that will ever exist. And God felt not only that it was important enough and necessary enough to bring you into existence, but to sustain you even in this very moment. So never forget how deeply loved you are and how deeply you matter. Every single one of us matters infinitely because we are part of the infinite, and the infinite loves us and needs us. You are needed and you are loved and you matter.